I'm Elizabeth Brailsford, and this is the export assessment for the country of Canada.
Thomas Consortio.
Elizabeth Humbleston.
And Davey Way.
Okay, for our initial screening, we chose Canada first based on the global market size. That's how we ranked our top 10 countries for export. We also looked at the number of domestic producers within the country and the U.S. exports by product, per capita income, and public health expenditure. The tariff rate was another thing we looked at, which is influenced by NAFTA. So all of these indicators gave the total country of Canada a score of 92, which made it the most likely country for import. Okay, the city selection, we picked 5 major Canadian cities ranked by population. And the biggest factor in this was the number of Whole Foods, which made Vancouver the best market we thought for exporting, because they have 4 out of the total 6 Whole Foods in the entire country. Also, their residents are very health conscious. They have a low percentage of overweight or obese residents, and they have a 42.3% of their residents consume 5 or more servings of fruit and vegetables per day.
In the next upcoming slides, I'm just going to touch base on the key points for Canada. Beginning with power distance index, they have a very low power distance, which means that you're going to see a lot of business going back and forth and shared throughout the community of the product that you're selling. This is going to be really good for you, Bobby, because you're going to see they're going to be willing to work with you, from people who are just beginning in the product, people who are really high up and are going to be distributing. This will be good because they will work with you and everyone will benefit from the product. Masculinity, it will not be unwise for you to notice that women will be holding very high positions. Very much so like the U.S., responsibility is shared both among men and women. And lastly, for uncertainty avoidance, this is the greatest positive for you, and that is because they have a very low uncertainty avoidance. They're willing to take risks, and they are willing to work with new ideas that are brought into the country. Since this is a new product, this is going to work to your advantage. When it comes to business etiquette, it's very much like the United States. With greetings and first impressions, it's very important for you to have a firm handshake when first entering a room, as well as the way you are dressed. Men are required to wear business suits of dark color, preferably navy or black, and women, it will be okay if a skirt or pantsuit is worn. For communication styles, it's the same. Do not be in anyone's personal space. Very much like us, they don't like anyone being too close to them or inside of what people would call their bubble. When talking with them, always bring your business cards with you and always look at it before you put it in your pocket. When coming with business meetings, very much so like the United States, time is of the essence, and when they're in a meeting, they feel like they need to be doing business talk. Don't bring up their personal lives and don't ask them about their families. Make sure you have plenty of facts and examples with you, and don't be obliged to negotiate with them, because they're going to make sure that everyone is going to benefit from the meeting. Porter-side forces, the 2 main ones for you to focus on are rivalry. In Canada, the health food industry is extremely important to the people there, and it is growing at an exponential rate. This could be a downfall for you because entering the market, it would be very hard for you to gain a substantial amount of market share. However, since you do have such a unique product in the way that it's made and grown, this could put an edge to your product, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up enough to stay in business there. Lastly, barriers of entry, which is also important to you, is since it is Canada and the way we trade with them, there are very low barriers of entry. They have the same technology, the same communication style, and virtually the only difference would be language, which would be easy to work for with the French, and how easy it would be for you to get someone to help you with that. My last slide is international advertising, and it's very easy considering how popular health food is. There's a strong base of newspapers and magazines in the greater Vancouver area that focus solely on health foods. The trade shows there are about 5 within the area, all within Boston, Massachusetts, and the Montreal area, so it'd be easy for you to attend. And when it comes to using like free PR and stuff, we think it's very important that you use the resources that are at your fingertips. Vancouver has a Vancouver Health site, and every type of activity there is, fundraiser, any type of health food event is posted, so it'd be able for you to get a representative there and get your name out.
The internet, Canada has some of the highest usage of internet use in the world. Most internet users in Canada go online at least once a day. So it's pretty important to keep your website updated on granola for the product sold in Canada, not only because right now it only has United States locations, also for Canada. And it's also important to translate your website into Canadian French, because they speak French and English in Vancouver.
Now we're going to talk about logistics and how we're going to move the product from Charleston to Vancouver. We priced a 20-foot container moving via truck or rail because moving ocean was not really necessary, being we're not going across the ocean. And to move it via rail, it was $2,600 for a 20-foot container, and to move it by truck, it would have been $2,200. And when we calculated the distance, it's about 2,500 miles from Charleston to Vancouver. So that would take a minimum of the truck driving straight nonstop 2 days. Then you have to factor in rest time and everything for the driver. We also ruled out using a reefer container, which is a refrigerated container, because the average shelf life of a granola bar is 6 months. And so if granola can get the product to Vancouver and on the shelf and in the customer's hands within 6 months, then the product does not need to be refrigerated. And then you have documentation and all of the export documents that are going to be necessary when exporting the product to Vancouver. It's important to include the description of goods, the mode of transportation, the terms of sale, the origin of goods, the identity of the shipper and the buyer, the terms of the payment, the shipping instructions, and the evidence of the shipment in all of these documents. And you also have to include a commercial invoice and the truck bill of lading and the shipper's export declaration. There's also the quotation is included, which is the request from the buyer for a quote from the shipper for the price of the product. And then you have the pro forma invoice, which is an actual document that is submitted to the shipper with the words pro forma fixed to the top. And then there's the commercial invoice, which is prepared once the order is received and the goods are ready to be shipped. And then there's the packing list, which must include the weights and the measurements and the packaging type. And then the shipper's export declaration is a document that declares the shipper, what the shipper is exporting, and the accuracy of the information is very important. And common error is using the wrong harmonized tariff code. And this is only required if the value of a single harmonized code is $2,500 or more. And then you have the certificate of origin, which is especially important in our situation because we're exporting to Canada, and we can use a NAFTA certificate of origin, which would eliminate all import duties. And then we have the insurance certificate, which is very important to insure against damage or loss of potential liability, which granola should arrange itself. Then you have the bill of lading, which is issued by the carrier, and then the draft, which states to the shipper by granola how much they are going to be paying.